Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Survivor Now podcast. My name is Oli, and once again, I am joined by the lovely Nina Twine. Nina, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Do you know what? Every Sunday, I keep forgetting. Oh my god, it's Survivor AU Day, and I'm like, oh, I've got an episode. I wake up and I'm like, I've got an episode to watch. But as we all know, we are here again today with What Went Wrong, the AU show where we just talk about the recently eliminated castaway, and we ask the very important question: what went wrong? So, Nina, first things first, what were your initial reactions to the latest eliminated castaway, which was Rich?
Not super surprised, based on how the season had been going. Going all the way back to the beginning till now, it makes sense. I was almost hoping they would go another direction just because it is kind of like bury the hatchet, let's move forward, let's adapt with the game, especially if the numbers are on your side, or even if you want to flip, screw it, do it. But let's try and, go a new route. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. Can I say I was mad that it was Rich? Not necessarily. But at the same time, kind of wish that they were open to some other options, which was discussed. But it kind of feels at this point in time when it's Logan and it's what she says, it's what goes.
Yeah, I definitely was not. I was surprised in the sense of when we first had the scramble, Rich was not a name. And obviously, we will get into that because that is probably part of what went wrong for him. But once the scramble kind of started happening and we really saw what was going on, I was like, okay, I'm not surprised. Similar to you. Am I mad about it? No. Am I potentially a little bit happy about it? Yes. But I mean, Gabe says in the chat already, we really have lost all the Graves people quickly this season. I think it's a testament to this season. Like, it really seems like the people that have been very high energy, very chaotic, shall we say, have been going very early this season. What are your thoughts on kind of the boot list so far?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I think, in my opinion, it just has to do a lot with the style of gameplay. If this was Titans versus Rebels, that wouldn't have happened. We saw that. If this was Heroes versus Villains, that wouldn't have happened. We saw that. This round of players, I don't know if the knowledge of Survivor or strategic gameplay is the same. Obviously, not as returning players, but as we've seen in seasons past. And with that, somebody, for example, like AJ, he's like Noonan, Polly, I believe. He was like, I see y'all are game players. Like, let's do this. No one else has really said that because he wants to go out there. He wants to play. He's willing to play with someone like Rich. I bet you he would have been playing with Nash. You know what I'm saying? But because a lot of people aren't like that, what it seems to me this season, anyone who's overly strategic, I mean, Miles had to get told to calm down. And it's like, bro, you got to be out there chit-chatting. And we've seen it time and time again on every episode. They're not playing like I want to play. They're not being out there. And the unfortunate bit is that we're seeing a lot of these really strategic players who are being a bit more out loud about it go home early because a lot of other people are playing either a much more reserved game or just aren't on the same, I don't want to say level as in their level isn't equal because not every game player is loud. I'm not the loudest, but strategically willing, I guess I would like to say.
That's very fair. And I think that's a very good point with this season. I just want to bring up Joe's comment here that he's still heartbroken about Candy and Indigo. And very true. But we are here to ask the age-old question. What went wrong? What went wrong for poor old Rich, in your opinion, Nina?
Yeah, so straight from the beginning, one of the first things that I recall him saying, and I didn't go back 6 episodes and rewatch, mind you, but one of the first things I remember him saying is kind of riding on the girls' coattails. Now, the problem with that is when you let other people get enough power, with power comes relationships, strategic and social. So if you're just like hanging back and chit-chatting with people, yeah, you can be my friend at night when we're talking about our lives, but during the day when when strategic games starts, I'm not going to come to you. I'm just going to tell you where the vote is and that's it.
Yeah.
And with that, you can also see where Rich then one day he wants to be chill and then another day he wants to play with fire. And while that's amazing and great and we love to see it, it depends who that's with. And one of the biggest things in Survivor, especially the Australian version, is we know that a lot of swaps happen, whether it's one person or tribe swap like we're seeing now.
Yep.
Meaning you're going to see people again and again or come across new people. And you always have to do your best to maintain some kind of relationship. And it, in my opinion, didn't seem like he did that. And it came back to bite him. So from the beginning, kind of took that laid back approach, tried to do some stuff in a way that rubbed people the wrong way. And it came back to bite him when he ended up with some of the people who did not care for him. And he knew that.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think going back to kind of like the first few episodes, I think what really put the target onto Rich. Oh, sorry. My throat is going today. He had his mindset on people that he wanted to work with. And then the people that he didn't want to work with, he kind of did almost cast aside. And it was like, and I think also his mouth. He let a couple things slip. He wasn't as bad as Ali, but he did let a couple of things slip where it was like, oh, did we need to reveal the VBs? Mm-hmm. Did we need to kind of reveal like these things? And I think it was also to Joe's point, like Rich did have a tendency of being a bit controlling as well. I feel like we've seen this pattern this season specifically where people really do want control. But I think where you've had that, and then also where he's not afraid to openly cause chaos. We saw that at the very start with Indy. He was very open to throwing Indy under the bus and causing all this chaos. And he did that at that first tribal council where people had eyes on him. And that's where you started to see a bit of the distrust, especially with like Logan. And then that kind of kept creeping in. And then he would always let people get in his ear. And then that, we saw it with AJ when AJ got in his ear, and we saw how he reacted then. There is one moment I do want to talk about before we get to this specific episode, because I do think there was some things this episode that definitely led to it. When you are sitting on the bench and you are openly shouting, "Bomb squad, got an advantage, throw the challenge," your target goes like this. And that was a really big moment for me with Rich, where I was like, you are keeping that target on you. And it's like, there is a reason the girls will want to keep constantly going after you. I mean, we saw it in one of the challenges where Karen and Ursula were literally brawling, and literally like Karen takes the time to go, "Don't trust Rich." Like that's a big red flag for me. What did you think about that specific moment?
I'm super glad that you brought it up, because that's something I also wanted to hit on, where we see this potential player, right? Strategically. I see Rich and I'm like, okay, here is an advantage. He didn't tell Brawn about it. What is he going to do? Or at least we don't think he told Brawn about it. What is he going to do? This could be epic if his, original brain tribe goes. Okay, great, dude, pass it off. But he's saying it. I feel like he's the type of person that doesn't have a whisper voice. Even if he's trying. So he shows it. Giving it to Max isn't surprising. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, great. But then here comes the bomb squad thing. They already picked up on that. And it made me think about the Indy vote. Him throwing her under the bus was smart. They're like, I hear y'all are trying to come for me, but guess what? Your girl back here is coming for y'all. Okay, great, dude, make sure you're not going home. But then what does he do? He then hits it with making that VV's comment. It's like, oh my God, you got these girls on your side. You're kind of reiterating that you're with them by telling them what Indy did. Then we come to this advantage. You have this advantage. You're trying to work with the guys. You want to get something rolling on breaking up that women's alliance, but then you're doing it so loudly. And then you're celebrating when you see Ali is gone. Like, yeah, I'm glad y'all did that. And when he did that, all these things, oh my God. But when he did that, I was like, bro, do you not remember the Brains tribe you were with? One of the things that you really need to pick up on in Survivor is who holds grudges and who doesn't. There are people like AJ. I bet you if Logan came in with an amazing idea or whatever, boom, he played right with her because he's probably an adaptable player. Logan's not one of those people. Laura is probably not one of those people because they were so women this and women that. Why are you celebrating when you hear Allie's gone? Don't do it. If Tribe Swap didn't happen and Merge did, he would have been, still. Why were you celebrating? You already know. My first thought is Logan's going to ask him why is he celebrating because she seems like that type of player.
Agreed. I mean, Gabe's comment right here. Like, Rich got really confident the bomb squad was real. He thought his plan would go through. And again, I think like his reaction to Ali going, I think was the start of in this particular episode the kind of clues we got to see where it went wrong for him, because he kind of openly was like, yeah, I gave him this advantage. Bomb squad did what we needed to do. And then as people started talking, he realized, oh, it went my way, but not how I thought it went. Like I thought like the bomb squad got together, and from what I'm hearing, Max didn't actually happen.
Mm-hmm.
And this comment here from Joe is a perfect thing for me to segue. I don't think Rich was too aware of other people's relationships, because I think what went wrong for Rich this episode, and possibly is one of the reasons why he became the target, was when it was this initial conversation with AJ during the scramble, when he was like, I am willing to flip on Logan, like this is my revenge vote. And he almost forces AJ to be like, no, you've got to do this with me. And it wasn't threatening. I'm not saying it was threatening, but it was very much like he was trying to force AJ to do something that AJ didn't want to do. And then he basically said to AJ, you're doing this for longevity. You're doing it for this reasons, and kind of called AJ out. And if there's one thing you don't do on Survivor, you don't call out someone's game plan, because then you've revealed their game plan, and then you are scarier to them than whoever they're targeting. And that, to me, I was like, you didn't need to do that to AJ, because AJ's already been scared because he had a plan, he wanted it to work, and it didn't, and he already had a target. He saw the potential here. What could happen with Rich, and he went, no, I don't want to do that again. Nope. So that for me, this episode was what went wrong for him. What about you?
Yeah, and to that point, hindsight is always 20/20. What do we then hear? Rich say, I knew AJ was always gonna do. He made a comment at the end, like, I knew AJ was a slick one or something like that. So if you knew that, why would you say that? I know there are players that you can kind of confront about a little bit, but never to that point. Because if that was me, just like you said, if I was AJ, I'd be like, well, that's not good. Actually, he can go. Just like even in the US version, we see Andy telling Rachel all this stuff, and it's like, oh, you're actually a threat. Actually, go home. So that's one of those points that I'm really glad that you brought up. And not only that, I'm just thinking to myself, they're already worried about you flipping, and then you're over here running around with Pauly. Anytime you see someone physically running, that's a warning in my head. When you see, especially somebody who you think is going to possibly be on your opposition, Pauly is literally running in the jungle. You know why? Because he feels like there's some kind of hope. Who's he running to? Rich. That's not great. They were already worried about you flipping. You need to play your own game, and sometimes it is very much possible. But if you're gonna possibly flip after a swap, you need to do your best to reassure those people. And of course, the worst thing he did was say that to AJ, because I actually get why he said, like, no, if you're gonna do this, I need you to vote with me. That part, yeah, absolutely. But at the same time, it does give, I think, I want to use the word like what's the word? Ambiguity. Like you might be able to, you're kind of the one that they're worried about flipping anyways. But you be like, bro, it was not me. Like, I promise y'all, it wasn't, because there's only one vote they have to worry about instead of two. It's much easier to hide amongst that one vote versus two. But yeah, in this episode, and again, it's just his overall personality. He's sitting there. Oh, last thing I wanted to say, at Tribal Council, when you have somebody like Rich, because I know a lot of people, when I'm at tribal council, I'm genuinely answering the questions with what comes to my mind first. If for whatever reason I'm feeling goofy that day and it's something funny, great, or
Yeah.
whatever, cool. If I'm more analytical and logical anyways in a lot of my answers in the way I talk. But with someone like Rich and you know his job, when he starts saying play safe or do this and you're like, oh my god, this guy's gonna flip, he wants to do something
Yeah.
at tribe swap, he wants to this, okay, well, you know what, actually I will go with him. This is something I learned from Survivor, from running my mouth. Don't forget that people take what you say with however many people are behind you different ways. If there's 5 people, it's 5 different ways. If there's 10 people, it's 10 different ways. Just
Yeah.
do your best to try to say something that's not going to be hugely negative or negative towards someone like Logan, who you
Yeah.
already know you have some kind of animosity or history with. You don't want her to be over
Yes.
there rolling her eyes and making all these faces. And yet here we are.
I could not agree more. And my last point I want to bring up, and I agree with you 100% on his answers at tribal council. It made it very clear because he even made a comment about, like, obviously he's a film director, and he made the thing like, this is act 2, going for action, going for drama, and I was like, you're making it obvious now, it's flipping. But he also is someone that enjoyed a bit of chaos. He said it at the start. Nothing wrong with a bit of chaos, but I think there is a difference between wanting to make a bold move and wanting to make a revenge move. And that's what he said, because what struck me the most is his voting confessional. Because he said, Laura, you're next. I thought to myself, mate, wrong person. Laura has been on your side since day dot. This woman has been protecting you like no other. She's the wrong. And that's where I feel like it went wrong a bit for Rich as well, because he really just thought like the girls were nothing, like the girls had no loyalty. You really did have Laura there on your side. And I feel bad for him in a way, because it's like he really did get duped in the in those situations, and he really did get a wrong perspective on some people. Not everyone, but some people. Just throwing this last comment up from Gabe. Being director makes sense. He's liking to be in charge. Yeah, absolutely. Rich, we know you have gone and we know things went wrong, but we will always end this episode with giving flowers and giving you your props. So, Nina, what do you have to say about Rich's game and giving him his flowers?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the first things is his occupation. He understands how the production side of things go, and as us, the audience, stories have to make sense, and him being able to use his words and his profession in those tribal councils makes me as an audience member go, oh my god, this guy, he's crazy. He knows exactly what to say, because he knows where he's going to vote and hopefully where everybody else is going to vote. So I really appreciate that about him. I also do enjoy a bit of chaos. It's not fun when you're on the receiving end of it, but you also want players out there who are willing to do things like that, who are willing to, and I know some people feel weird about it, but willing to have fun with the experience. That doesn't mean they don't take it as serious as you might feel just because they're having fun. It's stressful. So any fun you can get out of it, take it. And I think he's one of those people that was like, dude, I'm going to have fun. I want to win. I want to go as far as possible, but I want to have as much fun as possible. And lastly, people who aren't fearful. Like he said, I'm willing to go big. I'm willing to, throw some shots out there. I want to, come after someone who's come after me. That's like ideal, Survivor gameplay. Of course, it's done in different ways, but I do love watching players like Rich, because they make me either want to root for them this episode and not next episode, or vice versa. So one day I'm like, yeah, Rich. The next day I'm like, oh, then back and forth. It's a love-hate relationship, and I love players like that. So sorry, Rich, that you did go home, but it was really fun and entertaining watching you.
I have to ask then, is that why you loved playing with Geordie twice then? You know about fun.
Geordie was really fun. He's actually a really great guy. Like, honestly, he's one of those people. I will say he had I know off topic because it's Geordie, but every morning he would sit there and give people hugs. And sometimes, like, even if I was like, today, you're probably not on my side, or I don't know, like, what our vibe is, it was actually really nice because you felt in that moment, it's like, separate the game, give you a good morning hug, let's start the day. and keep going. But no, Jordy's fun. And again, Jordy's one of those people, he's willing to go big or go home. And unfortunately he did, but it was really fun playing with him. I would do it all over again. Hopefully he would trust me the next time though.
We'll have to wait and see, third time's a charm. But yeah, I completely agree with you on Rich. I can always commend someone who is going to be fearless and willing to take those risks. And I will admit, there was even some fun, like he was able to make some funny quips at times, like after the mud challenge, and he just went, well, that was fun. Found hilarious. And like you said, I think being able to be fearless, we always love a bit of chaos. Unfortunately, in this time, it really worked against Rich. But Rich, we hope you enjoyed your experience. Look, at the end of the day, I can't speak for Nina because she has played twice. You made it onto the show. Well done. You can probably sleep at night, no matter what we say. Yes, it went wrong for you, but you still got to enjoy this amazing experience. So well done. But that is it for what went wrong. Once again, Nina, thank you so much for joining me. It's always a pleasure, never a chore. But just to let you guys know, we will not be done this week. We may have a couple more coming this week, tomorrow and Tuesday. We have to see what comes about, if there's any non-eliminations. We never know. But you will see us again tomorrow and Tuesday. Tomorrow, you will have the lovely Randy and Bruce. And then also tonight, I do just want to plug, in about 30 minutes time, we will have Survivor Social for Survivor 48, where they talk about all the social aspects of the game, and that's with the lovely Tegwith and Cara. So make sure to tune in. And I'm going to plug this just in case I don't get to plug it for the rest of the week. The recap. Come join us. Myself, Matthew, and Valeria will be there this week. We had a lot of fun last week. We had the lovely Caroline from Titans versus Rebels. It was a funny time. I cannot tell you how many times we laughed. It was too much. But we thank you guys so much for joining us, and we will see you next time to see what went wrong.